have you been?
I've been okay. How have you been?
I was okay until you told me you were okay, at which point I'm now full of acid and hate. And I don't know why I said acid.
Do we have to check up on if we're both okay? Because it's been so long since we've last done this.
For context, it's Easter Sunday, which is the 9th. It's the 9th today, right?
Yeah.
And this episode goes up the coming Wednesday.
The 11th?
Which...
Is the 11th?
No.
Is the 12th?
It's the 12th. Yeah. For no other reason than we suck. We're just bad at this. Would you say
I would like to counter with that and say I don't think it's because we're bad. I think it's because we've both been absurdly busy.
Yeah.
As an actual reason.
But it's also it's an hour.
It's more fun to say that we suck. It's not an hour though, is it? It's more than an hour. This is a commitment.
Yeah, it is actually. It's a whole thing.
Well, it's at least 2 when you consider we have to watch the episode. Also,
we have to watch telly and talk about it.
Fucking watch Doctor Who, man.
I was gonna say, why are we debating doing another show?
It's fucking stupid.
Yeah, that's fine. You said you had a thing.
Yeah. Who do you think would win in a fight between the Slitheen and General Grievous?
And General Grievous?
Yeah.
Did you say that like that on purpose?
I thought I said General Grievous Spine, actually.
Maybe you did and I've misheard it.
If I fucked it up, then you've just pointed it out and I was completely unaware of it. Who do you think would win in a fight between them?
I mean, surely Grievous could just be like, and they'd be like, oh, my arm. And he has 4 of them.
Yeah, what a really silly question that was.
Slitheen Plakeen upon the mean.
How tall is General Grievous?
Big.
I
don't know. I will ask him. Hey, General. Welcome to Doctor Who Rewind. Shut up. Can I just cut the cold open and just start there? Just welcome to Doctor Who Rewind. Shut up.
Welcome to Doctor Who Rewind, an unofficial and unprofessional rewatch podcast where me, Katie, and my friend Tyrese.
That's me.
Rewatch episodes of Doctor Who, starting with the revival in 2005. After that, we'll backtrack to the 60s to cover classic Who, and in between seasons, we will look at games, books, Big Finish audio adventures.
You made it sound like you were reading from a script, even though you weren't reading from a script.
No, so that might be a little bit not correct, but at this point, the intro is just basically about the vibe of the intro more so than it being actually correct.
About it being good, because who cares?
I don't care.
The 3 people that watch this or listen to this each week. It's like, Katie, this is a show.
Do you think that anyone is so mad that they're like, Jesus, that's not the right intro?
I don't think anyone
They did the intro different last time.
I don't think anyone gets far enough into it to hear the intro. I think they hear Oscar the Grouch socks and then they turn off the show.
All right, Sam.
I think that's...
I don't know what socks I have on today.
Rise of the Cybermen. Something's just opened or closed on your PC.
Rise of the Cybermen.
This is an episode that happened.
Do you not vibe with it?
You know what the problem with this one is? It just doesn't stick out to me in any way. I'm just like, yes, okay, the entire time. Nothing makes me go like, whoa.
That's like, so crazy to me because I love this episode.
Even like seeing the Krillitane and the Clockwork Robots, I'm like, that's so interesting and cool. I'm looking at Cybermen and I'm like, all right.
I absolutely love Cybermen. I think this episode...
But that's the thing, I do love Cybermen.
This episode solidified the Cybermen for me as being like a favourite Doctor Who villain.
Do you know what they solidified for me?
What?
They needed to sell toys. Because this design for Cyberman, perfect toy.
It's so good.
Absolutely perfect.
I remember I had the head and it was like
that you talked into.
No, it was like a money box, but it came like full of sweets, and then afterwards you could use it as a money box.
Oh, I see.
And I had one of those. It was very cool.
I had the voice changer helmet.
Yeah, I always wanted the voice changer. Did you have the Dalek Sec one as well?
Yes, I did actually. And the little tentacle thingies
bet you did.
Came off. You could like take them off and put them back on. And only now do I realise they were really phallic.
Yeah, yeah, they were, weren't they?
My little 8-year-old brain in a hentai head.
No.
Okay.
On that comment, no. So, this episode.
Frankenstein, right?
Yeah.
The intro is just Frankenstein.
Very much so. Yeah, I really like the part where they're just like the brain has been welded to the exoskeleton because I'm like, that's just horrible.
Yeah.
There's very few parts where they talk about the actual procedure of what happens here, but every single time that they do, I'm like, oh, this is the most horrific thing I can imagine.
Well, they say... I'm going to open the book.
Notes out.
They say that they need Geneva approval, and I'm like, the first line of Frankenstein is "I am by birth Jean Vice," and I'm like, or something like that, and I'm like, yes, as in you are from Geneva. So I'm like, immediately, I'm listening to this and going, yes, Frankenstein, I get it, half human. You've plastered this thing together and like slapdash and pop it out there.
Yeah, when the other guy is like, it's not over yet. We need Geneva's approval, and I'm like, this violates so many conventions, so many. Why do you think that you will get approval from this?
Yeah.
Like, I understand the whole idea of being so out of touch and so rich and in your little billionaire high castle that you don't understand, like,
oh yeah,
that people can say no to you. But surely there is like a difference between, like Elon Musk being like, I want to put car in space. And then,
put car in space.
And then like fucking John Lumic over here being like, I want to weld a brain to a skeleton.
Want to put brain in head.
Yeah. But not person head.
Not person head.
Metal head.
Metal head. Sorry. Here is my whole thing. I feel like we're gonna be jumpy this episode.
Yes.
It's a first part of a two-parter, so it's more slow burn.
Yeah.
Which means that a lot happens, but nothing really happens.
Yes.
I
Place
don't
setting and such.
I do not hate it. I know this for a fact. I don't put this episode on and go like, ugh. That's not my reaction. My reaction is like, okay.
No,
it's less than a groan. It's more than a groan. It's fine.
More than a groan is not a high enough compliment for this episode. I want to throw that out
This
there.
is more than a groan.
So
sorry if you were talking and I can't cut my little just now. I'm a bit sniffly. Okay. Some of those might make it through. Sometimes you got to sniff into the crack. No, you got to sniff through the crack. I don't know what I'm saying.
You got to
Casey.
sniff.
I don't feel so good.
Absolutely deluded. Neither does my shoulder, but like, hey ho.
That's what you get
Here
for
we
playing,
are.
Nintendo Switch Wii Sports U Resort.
And Knuckles.
Oh, you bitch.
Right. Doctor and Rose in TARDIS.
Mickey's third wheel in here, right?
Oh my god, so hard.
Like, I mean, he's just got his finger on a button.
So hard. I like that one line that Rose has when they're like reminiscing about their past adventures, and she's like, oh, I thought I was going to get frazzled.
I don't get it. I'm like, alright. And Mickey's just there holding a button. And it's not like, the whole thing is the Doctor forgets Mickey is there.
Yeah.
And then tries to be like, no, I was recalibrating. Right? But he's a foot in front of you. What do you mean? You forgot he was...
I have had some like...
He's fingering your machine. And I know it's alive. So it is well and truly getting fingered. Idris is loving it. And the Doctor just forgets.
Yeah, I mean, I've had conversations, just like with one other person before. Never to the point where for 29 minutes I forgot that there was another person stood in front of me.
Shit,
so that, like, this must have been a great adventure that the Doctor and Rose had.
Yeah.
With, as he says, the weird munchkin lady with the big eyes. Who opened her mouth and fire came out.
Written, by the way, by Tom McRae and directed by Graham Harper.
Graham Harper, yeah.
Graham Harper's the man that did this.
I'm pretty sure he is the first director as well. Oh, no, not the first director, but this is the first episode that he did of the revival.
Is it?
Because he's directed some classic Who as well.
Has he?
Yeah, he did. He's done some really good ones as well. He's done one of my favourite ones. And what is also widely considered to be like one of the best ones.
So the concept of the parallel universe. No. Parallel universe, fine. Love it. Okay.
Like conceptually.
Do what you want with it.
Yeah.
Do you want to know what I want to see happen again?
What?
I want to see the TARDIS die again. I love the idea of like, this machine is gone. We need to somehow get it back. And like, it's happened a few times where the TARDIS has lost power. The TARDIS has been pulled away from, it's alive, so I guess the life from the machine. We see that in The Doctor's Wife. And here, the TARDIS dies, but it doesn't die all the way. But
I mean,
I think it's super interesting. I don't know how I would do it. I don't know the way around it. But I'm just like, as a concept, super awesome.
I
actually
think that the TARDIS is incredibly underexplored.
Oh yeah.
In the revival series, at least. And the thing is, I think that there are obviously the few TARDIS episodes that there are. You get a really good one, like The Doctor's Wife, and then you get
Journey to the Centre of the TARDIS.
Then you get Journey to the Centre of the TARDIS, which I hate because it's terrible.
It is.
But
it's not fun.
like it's just absurd to me that the TARDIS as a concept cannot generate better stories. And I'm not saying that as in a way where like I could probably do any better, because I probably couldn't.
No, not at all.
But
that's no way. That's not me doubting your ability. That's me being like TARDIS hard.
yeah, TARDIS hard, right? But like, because in this scene, the TARDIS is, you know, cut off in the parallel universe, cut off from all this power and stuff, and like the implication is that it is dead. But am I supposed to feel sad? Because I don't. But yeah, it's not like a big emotional moment like the end of Doomsday are out.
Yeah.
You know, like it's not supposed to be there. But the Doctor does do a bit of a mourn, a bit of a sad about it. But I don't know if as an audience member I am supposed to feel sad, because I don't.
Because I just don't care.
Because fuck the TARDIS, man.
Box.
Do you know what there would be if there was no TARDIS? Less show.
Right? I know you hate this show, but you love this show.
Yeah, I do.
It's a real problem.
I do love this show.
You vaping on you bit of vaping live?
No.
Did you try and turn away from the mic to shield your vape?
Yeah.
Katie, that's so unprofessional of you.
Do you want me to do a Cole Sprouse and be like, "Can I have a cigarette, please?"
Did he say that?
Do you see that was a clip of him on some podcast, and he was like, "Oh, like, can we open this door? Can I have a cigarette?" And like, it feels very Jughead.
He's like
of
me
him
for,
to do.
He's like me for real.
He's very weird. He's a weirdo.
God, I just want no. Never mind.
Right. So they get out the TARDIS,
And Sean Dingwall's back.
Yeah.
He's on a bus
And
stop.
I'm excited that he is back.
Oh yeah, he's great.
How do you feel about Pete Tyler being an alternate universe Logan Paul?
Anything for a bottle of bubble shock, though, right? Anything for drink bubble shock. I know it's not bubble shock before someone is like, it's not bubble shock. Yes, I know it's not. It's so I like it later when the president of England is is just like, it tastes like pop, and he's like, it is pop, and he's like, right, cool.
What does he say when he's like, you've made a living by selling a health drink to a sick world or something like that?
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, surely that's okay though if it's a health drink. What do you mean? I don't get it, but it's fine. It's okay. When the Doctor tells Rose off in this scene and she goes full like, it's like watching a child be shouted at. Like the faces that she pulls.
Yeah.
I was watching her and I was like, you're tapping into something deep there, Billy Piper. You're tapping into the don't touch the iron's hot.
She gets a bit sulky.
She does it again.
She does. I mean,
on.
she does snap out of it by the time sort of the plot really gets going.
Yeah.
But she is a bit sulky at the beginning here. And I was trying to think about this, because essentially she is sulking because she doesn't exist. Well,
Harumph.
Well, she starts out by sulking because she doesn't exist. And then I think she said later to the Doctor that the thing that like bugs her is that on this parallel world, Jackie and Pete Tyler have each other, but they don't have her. And that
makes her feel like she is the thing that held them back.
But then she says to the Doctor at one point that her mum is all alone. And then the Doctor's like, she's not alone because she's got you.
Yeah. Which is, I don't remember when specifically that is, but it's fine.
I think that's later. I think it's when they get into the party. But yeah, so they get out and they know it's this parallel world because of all of these Zeppelins. And the thing is, Mickey's like, it's the International Zeppelin Festival. And I'm like, how do you rationalize?
Is that when he says that?
Yeah.
Does he say that? There is, okay, there's a lot of dialogue in this episode that I'm just like, okay. I don't pay attention too much of what they're saying.
Like Mickey's got out the TARDIS and there's
like
a newspaper and it's like, oh look, it's like our time at this.
It's same date.
Yeah, all this kind of thing. The Doctor's like, London, like, you're London. And then Mickey's like, yep. And he's like, yep, just as we left it, yep. And the Doctor goes, that includes the Zeppelins. And then they look up and notice the Zeppelins. And then Mickey says, okay, so it's London.
Sorry.
Yeah, and then Mickey says, okay, so it's London with a big international Zeppelin festival, which is easier for him to rationalise than the idea of just parallel universe.
Mate, obviously.
Yeah. Like, all right.
Mate, obviously. When they get out, because Mickey is in this episode literally to be like, no one cares about me. And you know what? It's done in like a weirdly positive way.
Yeah.
Where he's like, no one cares about me. Like, I'm allowed to all these things that Rose will get shouted at for.
I'm allowed to do them.
I will get away with, because in the grand scheme of things, I do not matter as much to you than she does. When they leave, like later on in the episode, and he's like, "You're not gonna come after me, so I'm gonna go do my thing."
Yeah,
and the doctor is like, "Yeah."
Yeah, when he's like, "Oh, like go after her because it's never going to
Yeah.
be me," or whatever it is that he says.
It cuts between like Rose on the right, Mickey on the left, and
Yeah.
then Looker in the middle.
Look her, I barely know her.
I'm gonna hit you in the head with like, I don't know, a Lego set. Pick the one that gets slammed over your brain.
That's absolutely no question. I'm picking the little fucking crab then, aren't I? What do you think I'm going to say? Knock me out with the NES? Like, Jesus, come on.
Knock me out with the NES. I hardly know it.
My brain's destroyed, man. It makes slushy noises when I
I'm
move
having
my neck too hard. I don't need more blunt force trauma.
I don't know how skippy about you want to be in this. So obviously they get told off, and then we go to the Tyler residence.
Yes.
Jackie says cock.
Yeah, I was going to say Jackie says the cock word
And
in
it's
this
not even
episode.
and it's not even like a cocked it up, I'm pretty sure.
Trust you to cock it up. That's what she says.
Yeah, and I'm like, but you didn't say cocked.
Because she's mad that her birthday banner says that she's 40 instead of 39. And then when Pete comes in, don't deny it, it's got your fingerprints all over it. Trust me on this. Oh, I can trust you, all right. Trust you to cock it up.
You know what I love?
What?
I love that it is an absolutely multiversal constant that Jackie Tyler has an attitude.
In it.
Like, the fact that this is it's not an Earth thing. It is simply
It's just
a
Jackie
Jackie
Tyler.
thing. If there is any Jackie Tyler among any...
She's gonna give it to you.
That's what I'm hoping for, mate.
Can't wait, man.
I'm like, if there is a universe in which a Jackie Tyler exists, she will rip your head off and suck your guts out. I'm like a froob. She's like a froob.
She's like a
an
froob of a woman, if I ever saw one.
An angry froob lady.
I love
And
it,
I love her.
though.
Yeah.
I love it for her.
I love it for her. Yeah, sure. I like the there's a little bit of social commentary in here.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Yes. Where is that?
I mean, well, there's I say a little bit. The whole people being glued to a screen, having it like, beamed into their brains. That's been done quite a lot in media. Like, oh, everyone's glued to a screen or whatever.
Yeah.
It has gotten way worse.
Oh, right.
Like,
I'll tell you what.
than this episode probably could have predicted.
As a funny, silly little thing, a little aside. When AirPods were first
thing. Know about this.
Yeah, when AirPods were first a thing, my dad, I don't know where he'd got them from, but it was some discount.
Oh, one like the knockoffs.
AirPod, yeah.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just because now I feel like if you do not have AirPods, then you have some kind of wireless headphone. Like most people who I know have wireless headphones.
I was against them for so long.
Oh, I love them, me. But my dad had bought some, and they looked like AirPods, the same design. They were a bit chunkier and stuff. Same design, and he was like, "Give those a go," and I was like, "Okay, cool." So I tried them, and the sound was as fine as it would be from any pair of headphones. They have a little blue light where the charging thing would be, for your AirPods,
flash.
where it connects to the case, and it flashed blue. And I walked through at one point, and I said to my mum, I was like, I can't wear these. I look like a Cyberman. And my mum was just sat there laughing at us, and I was like, I look like I've been upgraded. I can't do it.
No, the bit where she's like, I get signals from Venezuela, and Pete's like, why would you want to get signals? And she gets legitimately offended.
Yeah, and she's like, well, I don't know.
That's how I am. I'm like, look at this thing, it can do this, and someone is like, when will you ever use that feature? And I'm like, I don't know,
couldn't do it.
But I have the option, and that's what.
If I wished to, I could.
You know, when it's like, I don't know how to describe it, but the option to have the thing that you will never use is better than not having the option, even though you will never use it.
Yeah, that's true. It's like the color changing things on the box. That's a feature that we didn't need, but we have it. You can
you mean
change
on the
lights.
On
yeah,
the focus, right? Yeah.
That's not a thing that we need to do, but we can do it now, and it's cool that we can.
But hell, if I want to be a purple funky when I talk.
I know, I've noticed that they're still on green.
Yeah, I left them. I left it. You can edit it before you go if you would like to change your colour.
Yes, I would. I would, actually.
All right.
So after this, we're back with Lumic in Zeppelin.
We did graze past Lumic a bit at the beginning, because, we talked about him, but, I'm pretty sure he's been in another scene on the phone.
Yes, because he has grand designs.
Okay, let's just get this out. What do you think of Lumic?
I like that he doesn't blink.
Excellent. Good for you, Wednesday Adams. What are you, like? What
I like that he doesn't blink because I think
is this a trivia thing? Like, is that an actual thing? He doesn't blink.
I did not notice him blink. I'm not saying he doesn't,
Okay.
but I didn't notice him blink once in the entire episode because Luke pointed it out, and then he was like, "Oh, go on then, mate, blink." And I was like, "Oh shit, no, he hasn't yet, actually, has he?" And I'm like, "Oh, Robot Man, Robot Man, right?"
Here is the right. Here's my whole thing. Here's my whole. This is what I've tried to boil it. I'm trying to figure out why this episode just does not click with me in the way that everything else does. Because I do love the Cybermen, but this story just does not hook me. And I think I love the Cybermen. I don't like. I know that it is implied there is a creator. I'm like, okay, cool. Someone went a bit crazy and made Metal Man, and it happens all across the universe on different planets and all this stuff. Because like Cybermen, that's how it works. They always call them the Cybermen because you have to. But
yeah,
I don't like knowing the maker. I'm like, in this case, when it's like, look, I've invented these things, and I'm like, well, those are a classic villain. I'm watching it, and I just think, like, these guys, to me, have never needed their Davros. And I don't need one, and I don't want one. I like it. I can't think of a single story after this where Cybermen show up with their, like, a creator.
A single
person.
Creator.
Yeah.
I mean, it's implied in World Enough in Time, right?
Yeah.
But
I'm still, whenever I watch it, I'm just like, okay, there's also the but World Enough in Time is like Cyberman for medical reasons, and then there's and their creator is one dude, and he is gone within like a few minutes. It doesn't matter.
See, like, the thing is, I will take you saying that, and I will raise you the fact that, like, Cybermen are essentially the way they are portrayed, because pretty much every portrayal of Cyberman is like, it's Mondas, it's like a planet 13. I might be wrong, probably am. That's funny. But
like planet,
the 10th planet, yeah, but I'm sure there's another planet that's just got a name. But you know, you've got like, you know, you have them springing up on essentially what very much are alternate universes, alternate versions,
other Earth-like planets.
Yeah, mirrors of our planets and stuff. And I really like the idea that they are just an inevitability, and someone stumbles onto it first, and whoever does makes Cyberman. Like, Cybermen are an inevitability because there is like a whole thing with X-Men where it's like, okay, so the humans are anti-mutant, but then the way that they fight back against them is with like Sentinels and with AI, and no matter what the X-Men do, I'm a bit behind on Krakoa, so I might be wrong, but I'm like, no matter what the X-Men do, AI is an evolutionary like constant inevitability. Yeah. Like, you are never gonna outrun that. And I like the idea of that with Cybermen. And it's just kind of like, oh, you were the first person to discover this idea, but at some point someone will discover this idea. I'm fine with that. I'm just not interested in the creator. To me, the creator, or at least the creator, could be more interesting than Lumic. Because when I'm watching Lumic, I'm like, I sort of don't get your motives other than just being evil in a lot of sense. I understand you need to test these things and stuff, but like, instead of doing what, like, so Elon Musk, okay, let's just say throw a guy up there. Let's call him Elon Musk.
Let's say someone is trying to create Cybermen, and we'll call him, hypothetically, Elon Musk, and he wants to, instead of giving you a metal shell, he's like, oh, we'll chip you in the brain instead. Hypothetically, it's all hypothetical. I put the pathetic in there. He gets people who go, hey, I will raise my hand and I will be in a test for this chip.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Oh, you telling me in a population of like 7 billion people, there's not going to be a few people that are like, yeah, I'll get welded. People will weld, and they will be fine with it, and they don't care. You don't have to steal homeless people.
I mean, I think
they're just trying to make him evil, so I hate him. But
I think that, that's the whole concept, isn't it? That, like, literally they're like, okay, we could clear this with Geneva, and Lumic is like, no, because I responded to a higher power. So I do actually just kind of like the idea of him being like, I know that this is the wrong thing. However, who will stop me now? Like,
I'm cool with the selfishness, with the I am ill and this is like my way out to not be ill anymore. But by the end of the episode, I haven't figured it all out. These thoughts are like just, raw thoughts. There's no actual massive thought behind it, and I want to try and get to the bottom of it in my own brain, because I don't know what it is that's making it not click completely. But I get to the end of this, and where I should be, I'm not rooting against the Doctor. Like, I'm not rooting for Lumic, but I'm not like, whoa, the Doctor's got to take this guy down. Like, there's no part of me that is like, I don't feel anything towards Lumic, and that's the problem.
Oh, see, I do. I mean, my thoughts about Lumic are, I wish that you had more time to do something a bit more. Because as much as I do like Lumic and I do think it's very cool, I also think that I'm like, you suffer from being in a story where a lot of things are going on.
And you were just kind of there every now and then.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like, even with it being a 2-parter, he still doesn't get that much time. Which
No.
I'm like, I don't want you to
Even
cut
in the
any
next part, when he's
Yeah.
when his brain's on show, and is he the
Innit?
Cyber King, Cyber Controller?
Cyber Controller,
He's the
yeah.
controller
Because
that
like, I
can.
don't want to.
Oh, Cyber King is the next Doctor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I don't want to cut any of like the other character stuff in here to make more space for Lumic, but I
No.
wish that there was more space that he could have been given. But anyway,
Speaking of
that's-
character stuff,
that's Lumic.
speaking of character stuff, I'm not going to rant about this as much as I did Lumic, so don't worry. Do you know how we were like, we have our Doctor episode, Rose episode?
Mickey episode this
Mickey
week.
episode this week.
Yeah.
Okay? Mickey and Ricky.
As much, you know,
Mickey Doodah.
as much as we are not big Mickey fans, I don't
well-
think that this episode would work without him.
I'm not a big Noel Clark fan.
Oh, I'm not even a small Noel Clark fan.
Yeah, I'm not. Well, okay, yeah.
I have nothing
let's
for this
say
man.
that. I do. Venomous hate. But as far as characters and stuff go, I do kind of like Mickey, and I like his little cowardly arc. And this is where we, at the end, Ricky,
Yeah, well,
Ricky shows up, and
this is Mickey's character arc now. This is what we are
Yes.
like making the time
Yeah.
for in this episode. So that's good.
it's done well.
Yeah,
I love them. I don't think there is a Mickey scene in this that I don't like.
that's true.
In fact, I think I probably care. I don't care so much about his little sidekicks, the Geordie fella and the Welsh lady.
Preachers.
Yeah, I'm not too all in on them.
They're another thing that like Lumic, I'm like, give you more time and you are good. But I like them because they feel very Torchwood.
Well, Torchwood gets a mention today.
It does.
Only a little one, but anyways, we'll. Do you want to do Mickey now, or we'll do it later when we get to like his kidnapping and stuff?
Has Mickey? I don't know. At this point in the episode, has Mickey like gone home,
He for us,
or is it after the 24 hours? Yeah, it's after.
they
the
find
24
power.
hours. Yeah, in the
Mickey,
the
we have
TARDIS.
power. That's
There's,
always. That's
there's
one
one
of those
tiny
lines.
little bit, right?
Yeah, I like that conversation though.
Yes.
When he is just talking to the Doctor, and then the Doctor is like, "We have power." It's up, isn't it? It's a reflection.
It's that one. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That delivery is one of those. You know how we've talked about before. Like we've got nostalgic lines.
Yeah.
That's
one for
Yeah,
you.
we have Mickey. We have power. Ha. I'm like, yeah, I got that.
Because this is another great example of David Tennant showing off all of the teeth that he has in his mouth in this scene.
What? You said. Sorry. The way you said it was like as if it is something you have said on the show before, and I'm pretty sure you haven't. And I was like, oh, again. The way you said, like, oh, again, he's doing this thing. I'm like,
Yeah.
Did you mention this?
I'm like, just David when he
does have teeth.
when he grins, he proper does. He does like mouth open grin.
He does the grin that is like when you are 8 and you want to show the dentist that you have indeed been brushing
and
your
you're like,
teeth. You're like, "Alla, alla, alla," like that kind of thing.
Yeah. So that's that. Also, there is a part in this scene when they are talking about just how like the Time Lords said no to parallel worlds.
He does a little law thing.
And no, it's not really. But Mickey's like, oh yeah, but I've read about this in comics. So Mickey Smith's an X-Men fan.
Yeah, well,
He talks about alternate realities.
the X-Men are not the only comics to have done
My Man's Red Age of Apocalypse.
X-Men are not the only ones to do these things.
Listen, if you want to talk about alternate universes in comics, you got to X-Men up for it, man.
Listen, Katie, I swear to God, if you want to talk about X-Men comics, please don't come at me with it. Just start your own podcast about it.
Ah!
I hate you.
Hey. No, but yeah. So after this, they've got 24 hours on Parallel World. This is the choice that the Doctor has to make, right? The
Yes.
Rose and Mickey choice, because Mickey goes to see his nan.
Before that, just because it's not even like a big bit, I just think it's really funny.
Oh yeah.
When the Doctor kicks the TARDIS. Did that help? Yeah. Did that hurt?
Yeah.
That delivery is so good because he's like proper like he's massaging his foot through his shoe, and I'm like, you're not getting anywhere with that, sweetheart.
Yeah. Also,
You're
I'm
not
like,
getting anywhere with that at all.
you booted, because I don't know. Like, obviously the TARDIS
You
is
booted a corpse.
like the TARDIS is surely made of like space stuff. But I
Vibranium.
imagine it's probably like hard metal unpleasantness. You booted that. with a fucking sand shoe on, mate.
Mine
Like,
was made of plastic.
You had a bit of canvas.
My TARDIS was made.
Well, I'm really glad that everyone had a TARDIS
plastic.
but me.
Yeah, we learned this yesterday that everyone had
Everyone has had a TARDIS but me.
I think that is some of the most legitimate emotion out of you ever. When I was like, if they do a TARDIS for Tennant's 60th or whatever, the new interior, shall we? If they do a set, shall we buy it? And you were proper like, can we? And I was like, yeah, you could put it together as well. And you were like, can I? And I was like, yeah. And then I said, we'll buy it. And you were like, you start like doing one of these, like a little
Started doing a little
hand flap. And I was like, what? And you were like, it's for the studio. And I was like, yeah, that was the whole point because we have a Slitheen in here now.
We do, and she's just kind of perched
Yeah,
behind me.
she got that slussy. No.
Posable action. Grievous!
Again. Oh, we need to put him somewhere different.
Don't you dare!
God.
Don't you dare
Oh
take
my
him away
God.
from me.
If I'm not here next week, she's killed me. Oh,
I love him. I love him so much. I just feel better knowing he's there.
yeah. Is this with the second telling off of Rose?
Yeah, 'cause this is Rose just being like, I want to see him. I just want to see him. And then the doctor's like, you can't be their daughter. That's not how it works. Mickey, tell her. And then Mickey's just like, 24 hours though.
Because that's the harumph part when she goes, I just want to see him. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, you've done a harumph there. That's fine.
Yeah, she's crossing her arms and she's stomping her little feet.
She's heifer clumping. Because that's when Looker is in the middle. That's fine.
Yeah, because Mickey says, "Go on, you only chase after one of us. It's never going to be me, is it?" And then the doctor sort of like does a little like, oh god,
Obviously,
thing.
it's not going to be you, mate.
And then he turns to Mickey and he's like, "Back here, 24 hours." And then Mickey says, "Yeah, if I haven't found something better."
Well, he says that as like an aside, right? Like when
He says that as just like a to himself thing. And then he goes to see his nan.
He does go to see his nan, which, by the way, heartbreaking scene. Acted really well. I can't.
Isn't it?
I can't fault
do you know
it.
what it is? It's when he says about the step.
And he sees it
And he says that she'd trip and break her neck.
because he pauses. He's like, "You're gonna." And then he pauses, remembers it, and he's like, "You're gonna fall and break your neck one of these days." And she's like, "Yeah, I'll get it sorted." And he's like, "I'll do it for you. I'll like."
Well,
right now if
actually,
you need
sorry, because there's a little bit before he goes to see his nan, and this is when the doctor and Rose find out about the Cybus daily download. And they're at the start of the
Terrifying.
scene. Rose is telling the doctor about Mickey.
Yeah, she's law dumping.
She's law dumping.
Expo dumping.
Mickey's mum just couldn't cope. His dad hung around for a while, but then he just sort of wandered off. He was brought up by his gran, and then it started talking about his gran. And I'm pretty sure, and like this might not be right, because I haven't fact checked this. This is from memory, but I'm pretty sure it is in the Rose novelization. But I'm pretty sure the implication is that Mickey's mum kills herself.
Oh, when they say she couldn't cope.
I'm pretty sure that's like
That's so dark. I love
that's
it.
the implication. Like
I mean, I don't love
sure.
it. But like,
I'm sure that's come from somewhere. Ugh,
Yeah.
One sec. We'll just cut this part because I need to fact check it now.
Jesus.
Yeah. So anyway, does kill herself.
Do you want to wipe that smile off of your face, young lady?
We'll cut that back in. That's a I'm right smile, not a woman is dead smile, by the way.
They're very. So you have one for a woman is dead. You have a woman is dead smile in the in
In
like
the
the
chamber.
in the repertoire.
We'll see when a woman dies, won't we?
No, because the way that is described, I don't know how to word this. Like that's a very real situation.
Yeah, it is.
Like
isn't
that's
it?
such a. That like you don't see it much on TV, but I'm like that's such a real situation of like this person can't cope, they struggle with money and men and all this, and I'm like, yeah,
Yeah, that's a thing.
I'm like, yeah, that's a really realistic thing. Do you know what I like before this daily download thing?
What?
I like that Rose and the Doctor are just walking and talking like pals. You don't see that ever. It's because most TV is go to a place, we stand still, we do a little conversation, and we be a little bit energetic about it.
Yeah.
Then we go to this other location, we stand still, and I was like, I'm watching them walk and talk down a busy street, and I'm like, yes, these conversations would happen. And you
Again,
just don't
it's
see it
what
again.
have we said before? Like at the start of this episode as well. It's like the Doctor and Rose downtime because like
Yep.
they are just pals. You know.
As much as she wants to hop on. No. Oh,
What do you think that joke was that they all got? Because everyone laughs so hard.
I reckon it is the peanut butter joke.
The peanut butter joke.
The peanut butter joke.
What's the peanut butter joke?
Do I have to?
I mean, you don't have to, but I don't.
I
Unless
can
I don't
cut
think
it.
you've told me this.
I'm sure I have. The difference between peanut butter and jam.
Oh yeah.
That one.
Yeah.
I reckon it's that one.
Okay. That's not very appropriate.
It's not, is it?
John Lumic would never.
I'm fucking sure he would. Sure he would.
I'm gonna steal a joke that I heard earlier. It's not mine at all. What's an electrician's favourite song?
Okay, what's an electrician's favourite song?
Socket Man.
I'm a socket man. Socket man.
I was told that this morning by a friend.
Which one?
By a friend.
Which one? Cool.
Cut-
What car
Cut
does
that.
he,
Cut that part.
What car does he drive?
Shitbag.
What's his full address and postcode?
All right, that's all definitely getting cut now.
Doxed.
Cut the
Doxed.
joke because it's awful as well.
Doxed. Sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm all over today. This is my fault. You can blame me.
Right. Yes, because that is when Mickey just gets yoinked.
He does. I'm like, do you know? And you know who I feel bad for? His granny's
His
just on the.
nan.
She's just on the front. She's like Ricky,
Because, well,
and she like wafts in the air.
She drops a little law dump as well. She does a little drop in it when they're talking about people disappearing off the streets and how there's nothing on the download about it, but
Yeah, they're hiding it. It's a big.
Yeah.
It's a big hidey thing.
because when she opens the door, she says that she's got nothing worth stealing and don't think I'm going to disappear. You're not going to take me.
Yeah, I'm cool that Mickey, spoiler alert, stays here. Like I'm like, yeah, all right, I see it, I see the appeal. But the doctor's the whole time gingerbread house. He's like, there are. I'm okay with the idea that things are different, but the gingerbread house idea of like, almost as if a higher power is trying to tempt them. I'm like,
See,
I don't read it like that. I just think
I
that
don't
that's
read
what
it
those,
like
that's
that
what those
either.
words kind of imply, and I'm like,
but I think, if anything, I think a Hansel and Gretel type of
it's the best way to go.
Wait,
about
no, that was a
describing
gingerbread house and Hansel and Gretel. Never mind.
it. Yeah, well, no, it
But
was a house made
the-
of like sweets. and
Yeah,
shit,
they
right?
just say that, but then I don't think that they lean hard enough into the fact that if you are tempted, it's not good. Like
Yeah.
you sort of don't gain anything. You're tempted in, and then the inside is not as good
Yeah.
as it appears to be. But then my argument for that is I feel like nothing is there to tempt Rose. Like, what, her dad's alive, but she's upset that she doesn't exist there.
Yeah.
Which is the part where I'm like, for Mickey, I see it, but for Rose, I don't. And I know the implication is that she could just like slot herself in there. She would be
Yeah.
this kid, but you're not. It's like you are a fully grown adult woman now, and these are two strangers.
Yeah, I mean, what, she's 19 last season. I'd say she's like 20-ish.
Yeah, I
21, whatever the
assume
hell.
that like Rose has had a birthday.
Yeah. If everyone stopped in the street like this, it would terrify me. Like, it would actually...
yeah, it would be.
It would freak me the hell out.
It's weird enough, isn't it? Like when we're at uni or whatever, and we're like going to get some scran, and then we'll be like walking through town in a group, and then someone will just stop, like
What,
just
in
in
our
front of
group?
it.
Oh.
Yeah, like if whoever is walking like just stops to look at their phone or stops to like
Yeah.
wait.
Imagine
Like
if a
even then,
whole
it kind of
street-
like it makes you go, why are we stopping?
Yeah.
Like what's
We
going
as-
on?
Why are we as a unit halting?
Yeah.
No, this is very freaky. I think that it's. I understand the whole like robot. It's all people are getting controlled for like a minute or so of the day, but like it's so scary to me. There
Yeah.
are things that I'm like, this is so. It's unsettling in the best way.
Mickey's London's Most Wanted.
That's so funny. Wait, before this,
Yeah.
that's when they during the download thing. That's when they found out that Pete's connected, and Rose does a little lean into the doctor's shoulder, and she's like, "Can we go see
Yeah,
Pete?
can we
Can
go see him?"
we go see Pete?"
Because they
'Cause
say
the doctor's whipped as fuck, man. I don't even care. Like he's whipped. Do you not think he's whipped as hell?
they say something about Cybus owning Vitex.
Yes, yeah,
and-
bubble shock.
I don't know. I mean, I do not understand what Cybus benefits from owning Vitex. I understand what Pete benefits.
A lifetime supply of fizzy pop.
Also, as well, here you go. He is funny. Is that it really is on the doctor in this episode for thinking that Rose's daddy issues have just gone away. Like, first of all, what happened last time she was with him? And then since then, he's literally died for her.
When they meet, there's like a little bit of a thing where I'm like, this conversation's a little bit flirty, and I don't like it. Between Pete and
But then
Pete
again,
and
that's
Rose.
another consistency
that. No, it is.
between
Yeah,
like
it's
past
between her daddy issues.
someone gets a little shouty line. Oh, wait, this is the party. That's fine. But okay, so after we see the preachers, they pick up Mickey. They tell him that he is London's most wanted because they think he's Ricky.
Obviously, yeah. I mean, yeah. They
Yeah,
you've got the wrong.
the parallel universe version of Mickey.
You've got the wrong Icky. I'm Mickey, not Ricky. There's 2 different Ickies going around. Could imagine if there was one for each letter of the alphabet and there's 26 Ickies.
Have you seen that part? It kills me, and it's like a screenshot from like a documentary thing or whatever about Beyonce, and there's like a picture of her. There's a picture of her as a kid. With I do not know enough about Beyonce, but like with some other like family members.
You
like
say that like everyone should have a base knowledge.
No, I mean like
Beyonce.
I was gonna say like I don't know if they're her sisters or whatever, but there's like like a young Beyonce and some other kids like sat on the front, like like a family photo sort of thing, and then it's Beyonce and she's like, so I actually had all these like Aonce, Cionce, Dionce. I ate them and absorbed their power. And I'm like, I like the idea that that's what Mickey is doing, just going around.
And only he will survive.
Yeah, like he
my nose just bumped into the microphone.
Goes to some other universe and he bumps into some dude who looks like him and he's like, let me guess, your name's Nikki, and he's like, yeah, why do you know that?
He gets kidnapped by the Geordie and the Welsh.
Yep, and then we go to Lumic's presentation.
I was gonna say I have a little question for you, but I don't think that it holds up as well as for me, who did not watch Geordie Shore.
Yeah,
it is super weird hearing someone who is a Geordie on screen. I'm like, huh.
Yeah.
Hello, you.
Do you remember those ads that were on TV a while ago? It was like a COVID thing, and there was an ad that was like basically just like, oh, wash your hands and help prevent the spread of COVID-19 and shit.
Germs.
But then they had another ad that was almost exactly the same, only instead of it being on like a blue thing, it was like red, and it was like a northern version of it. Yeah,
I do remember.
And it was like, now then, lads, wash your hands and that. And like, it why would you do that? Like, people from the north don't need a separate fucking thing to tell them to wash their hands.
We say things like fwa and banging.
Fwa, mate.
Fwa. What do you think? What is fwa to you?
It's the noise that you make. Like saying "for" the word is a representation of the noise you make when you are like presented with some piece of information or something that is like very, very appealing to you.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say something appealing.
Because like people
to
normally do it like in like a sexy person kind of way, right?
Like
when they see someone, they're like,
look at them.
Yeah. But then I also say it like if food looks good.
Yeah, I was just going to be like, scran though, which is another thing.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure I did it when you made that lasagna the other night.
Please stop calling it lasagna though.
I was saying to Luke about when you did that garlic bread, and my entire like immediate initial reaction when you pulled it out of the oven, I was like, oh, look at the cheese running down there, dirty bitch. And like a slice of cheesy garlic bread.
It's the most annoying you've been is every 5 minutes being like, how long's left on the lasagna?
It wasn't every 5 minutes, shut up now.
Looking through the window of the oven. Like, at one point you just went, it's bubbling. And I was like, yes, it's a lasagna. It's got cheese on it. It's what's going to happen.
Yeah, it was good, that one.
Doctor Who.
At one point in this conversation, so the president is having a little bit of a conversation with Pete Tyler.
Yeah.
And he's I think the president says something like, oh, what do you think of Lumic? Like, what do you think of him?
He's like,
and
brilliant.
Pete goes, he's very sharp, I'd say. Sharp as ever. Yeah, from all the fucking metal.
Kitty.
Sorry.
You knew it as well. You've written that down.
Yeah, I wrote it down.
And you were like,
sometimes
this is not going to be a hard
I think of like funny things to say. Also, Mickey's nan accidentally drops a great bit of hindsight, which I just, kind of skipped over.
Her having any sight at all is insane to me. Sorry.
It's not it's not like a big thing. It's just a line that you're like, oh, where she goes, Mickey's nan's like, it's those new friends of yours. I don't trust them. And then Mickey's like, what friends are there? And she says, don't pretend you don't know. You've been seeing them.
Oh, about
and that's when they're talking about the preachers. But, for a minute, when it's like, so them new friends of yours.
Yeah,
like,
the Doctor and Rose. They're not new. They've been about like 2 years now. It's fine.
So a bunch of people get converted. All the homeless people that they're like, all get converted here.
Medically, Cybermen give me more questions than answers. I'm like, okay, so diseases like like Alzheimer's and stuff that you normally it's normally like it's an old age thing, part of dementia or whatever.
Yeah.
Those things can like take root and start really slowly from like the late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah.
And you just won't pick up on it because, you know, you have walked into a room and forgotten why you've gone in there your whole life. Why would this time be any different? And like, no, it's actually... And I'm like, okay, so Cyberman doesn't fix that because that's a brain disease. And I'm like,
Yeah,
okay, so if you have the seed of that in your late 20s, converting you is pointless.
My whole thing about Cybermen, at least the way that they are presented in this episode, is that John Lumic's whole thing is that the brain is the most like precious thing on the planet, and that's what needs to be protected. And if you weld it into the cyber suit, then you are protecting it. Except what we're doing is not protecting the brain. They are going into the brain and being like, no sad, no angry, no emotion, no happy, no joy. Like it's not just a case of you are trying to preserve the brain. It's a case of you are trying to like sort of perfect the brain.
You could never have a Lasgrania again.
No, you couldn't. And what's the point of living? Like, I'm sorry, but what's the point of living if I can't have a Lasgrania?
Imagine seeing a Cyberman and it's like, just, you know, it's got like ADHD
just
or
got
like
cheese mushed up around its little like mouth thing where it's been trying, but it just can't do it.
I did my duty for Queen and Country.
Just can't chew, man.
The little oil tear comes out. You try and like
Special sauce.
You think it's foaming at the mouth? It's besh. It's besh.
See, I'm gonna
lasagna,
say
the
this.
best a man can get. Lasagna go space. Sorry, carry on.
I'm gonna okay. So this was more of a thing that I picked up in the second part of this episode, which we're not going to talk about now, but I'll drop it here because we're talking about Cybermen. This episode, when I was this little child, like I don't know, what, 6 or 7 years old.
Yeah.
In my brain, this is the thing that made me go, "Oh, there are worse things happen to you than you can die."
Yes.
Because you know, I was at this point. I think
sometimes dying good.
Yeah, I'm like, I had pets die. I think I had like a family member die at that point. Like I understood the concept of death at that point. And in my brain, in my little childhood brain, I was like, oh, so one day you're just here no more ever again. And you never will be. That's the worst thing that can possibly ever happen to a person. And then being like, we butcher them up, suit them up, fuck with their brains. In my head I was like, oh, actually no, I think I would rather be dead than have that happen to me. And then that's when my brain was like, there are things like that in life that are worse than just dying.
See, I would love an optional Cyberman where you get to keep your feelings. You get to go around and you be like, I got a sick paint job. You know what I mean?
New rims.
You're like walking around looking like Eddie Murphy in his like leather suits that he wore in like Raw and Delirious. And
I was gonna say, let's not start talking about like pimped out Cybermen, because that's like, one, there's a conversation all on its own. Two, the ashad of it all.
Shut up, Katie. What was his design? Which one was he?
The like busted, it was like the face.
I know it was busted, but I'm like, the rest of him, what Cyberman was that?
It was more Canary Wharf than anything else. It was more Cybus than anything else, but I don't think it was entirely Cybus. It was like, it felt like World Enough in Time, because that's not exactly the Cybus.
It was just a whatever was left around, right?
Yeah, it was. We've got costume
because
up there somewhere.
The Canary Wharf ones
they're the best ones.
They are. Oh, are they? Because I've seen people online that like just do not agree with that.
Revival series, yes. However, I am part of the original Mondasian design, and we'll talk about it next week, because I have a thought, and there is a very relevant point where I can bring it up in next week's episode. Okay. So I'll do it then. Yeah. But I do have like actual design thoughts, because these ones are very Art Deco.
Yeah, because this is the point when I'm watching the episode. By the way, when we do go back to Lumic, I've written the note that just says, I'm very impartial to Lumic and I need to figure out why. I wrote that like as the note, because he's doing nothing for me as a villain. And then they play it in the jungle and I'm like, I don't know whether this is meant to be like funny or like I'm meant to be like, that's so out of taste, he's so evil.
Well, it's not him, it's the other guy.
Yeah, that bit also does nothing for me. I'm like, alright,
I
this
mean,
is just weird to me. It's not like funny, it's not.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is just strange. The thing that it's meant to do, I think, is it's meant to make you go, he's playing with them like toys. He's a mad scientist, and I'm just not.
See, that's not what I got from it, because it's this character, Mr. Crane.
I don't get that from it at all.
Right. No, it's because it's just when they start playing, it's Mr. Crane, who is another character who is essentially like, I don't want to say Lumic's right hand man, but that's kind of basically what he feels like, right? And he is the one who does it because they send all of the Cybermen in to be converted, and then we hear they're like fucking screaming and
no, not that kind. Doesn't matter.
Horrible,
Doesn't matter.
horrible like Cyberman noises.
The screamy muck
and then the screamy muck of it all, and then Mr. Crane or whatever is like, put on the song, and then he goes, that's better. And the thing is, he will later turn on Lumic, so I like to think it's a way of being like, he is complicit in this, but he doesn't actually want to, he doesn't want to be a
part of it.
Yeah, he is doing it, but then at the same time he's like, oh no, that's horrible, let's just ignore that, where it's kind of like you're doing the thing because it's easy for you
in a way,
and you are ignoring the horrible literally by playing music over the sound of people screaming and dying on your own orders because you don't like it.
When you have a job and you're like, okay, and then someone asks you to do something that is not in your job description specifically, but it's not like you're not incapable of it, so you do it anyway.
Yeah.
I feel like it's that kind of thing where it's like, I'm not meant to do that, and it's like, yeah, but you work for me, and it's like, oh, yeah, true. I guess I'll just get on with it.
Like I say, later on it does come out.
Yeah. This is when we meet Ricky.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, he's got the biggest resting bitch face going.
Well, that's
Noel
the
Clarke
thing,
is clearly trying to play this different,
isn't it? Yeah, he really is. Because Mickey, in this scene especially, is very like, oh, okay, like, sorry.
Yeah, he's more whimpery than he has been previously.
Yeah, and like Ricky is like proper like glowering at him, proper being no, the mate, like just fuming.
How can I be there? And he's like, nah. He's got like real scowl going. He points like all dramatic and stuff.
So as well, he's like got a tattoo. Mickey has a tattoo because they scan them to be like, look, these guys are identical.
He's
some
got
like bio scan. Apparently that's just a fake tattoo.
What?
Yeah, apparently that was a little thing that they just applied to Noel Clarke, which is really funny to me because I know that like, isn't it like Freema Egerman has a tattoo that they just let Martha have? I don't think it's Martha's tattoo. I'm sure it's like Freema's tattoo.
I have no idea. But because I was watching it and I was like, oh, they didn't cover his toe.
Yeah, because in my brain, I didn't realize until I was like reading the trivia, and then they're like, that's not actually a tattoo that he has. That's just put on there. And I'm like, that's very strange. That's a very strange detail to add.
Because normally you are taking tattoos away.
Yeah.
Like my brain is conditioned to, if I see someone on screen with tattoos, I go like, oh, they didn't cover that up.
Yeah.
I don't know why I assume they will.
As well,
like, oh.
I know that people get tattoos added to them for TV and movies and stuff, but this is such an inconsequential, such a nothing one.
This looks like the mistake tribal tattoo that people get.
Oh, listen,
he's
a lad in his 20s in the early 2000s. I don't think, I did not see very well enough what it was, but I bet it's something shit. I bet it's a shit tattoo. So, Sesha on Jackie's gaff.
Yeah. Party!
Oh, actually, sorry, speaking of the lion sleeps tonight or whatever, before he does that, when he's like, turn left, and all the guys turn, and then he's like, turn right, and then they go, and he's like, sorry, Mr. Lumic, it's irresistible, and he goes, then resist.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Well, I had a whole thing where I was like, Lumic's not got a sense of humour. I think if he was more mad scientist, I might have been more engaged with him. If he was more
just
like
crazy with it.
Yeah, if he was like, absolutely insane, but he's not like
then
that. He's very calculated.
I know this character was in there first, but then that feels very, very Max Capricorn.
Yes.
And, I think it works better on Max Capricorn than it would on John Lumic, to be honest.
I always forget about Max. But I mean, he's not, super prolific.
The ladies love metal.
Shut up.
It's like how he says
Shut up.
Right. So we're at the party.
Yeah, I haven't seen The Confidential for this. I might watch it later whilst I'm doing work because I'm like, it's an easy.
I don't want to talk about doing work.
It's an easy just toss that on. I think this isn't a set, right? This has got to be a house that they found. Like a. I almost said the name of one that is like near us, like a hall of some kind.
Yeah,
like
well, do you know what does it for me with this?
Cameras.
It's the fact that like the inside of the house, because you get a few exterior shots here, and the inside very much looks like it matches up with the outside. It's not like, when you watch like a sitcom and you're like, how does this, like what I know to be the living room, fit with the exterior shot of this building? Like,
the geometry
like
just doesn't match
iCarly's like the iCarly set, where anytime you think about it logistically, you're like, this is not a real place at all.
Yeah, because I'm like, you're in an apartment. Why does your apartment have an eye?
You have an apartment with at least 3 floors, but there is nothing from the outside to indicate that this would be the case at all. Also, why do you have your own private elevator? It just raises questions. But
Oh my god, there's an elevator in the house.
yeah, they have an elevator,
Oh
but
my
then there is
God.
also a separate elevator. They've like this isn't. See, when you think
What,
about it,
oh god, wait, no, shut up.
when you think about it, it's not
Oh my
real.
God.
But like, there's when the windows get smashed at the end, and they're like jumping out the windows and stuff. When you see like,
What about iCarly? It's like when Spencer finally loses his rag.
do you know what? It would have an absolutely ridiculous episode title as well, where it's like, I fall for something. I don't know, some like silly little thing.
I burned down the apartment. That's an actual one though. There's a fire at one point, right?
I'm sure there is one that's
Gummy
got
Bear
a
Lamp.
ridiculous name. The iCarly episode naming conventions feel very similar to the It's Always Sunny naming conventions, where it's kind of just like, oh.
Yeah, I mean, Scrubs had one of them where every episode was my something.
There was one with Victorious, and there was an episode that's called Beck Falls for Tori, and for like a while they were teasing this whole thing where it's like, are Beck and Tori going to get together? And it turns out that in the episode it's like a stunt fall that they're talking about.
That's so
and like
funny.
Beck does it, like falls off the thing so she doesn't have to. But I'm like, that. There you go. That's one where I'm like, oh, such a misleading episode title. Doesn't matter.
You got us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but this is a house. This
yeah.
surely is a house.
All of the handheld shots made me go, you couldn't get a full crew in here. Like, you could not. Like, you couldn't rig up full tripods or, the rails to do a little slidey shot. You just could not do it.
Maybe it's just because I am thinking into this now. But because the house, despite it being, like I say, it looks rented. It looks like set up for this party, and I'm like, oh, because Jackie and Pete's marriage is not good.
No.
No, there is a line as well when in this
There's
party
trouble in Parasite.
when I think it's like when Pete gets up to introduce Jackie to like give a speech to the party or something.
Yeah.
And someone shouts from the crowd, I thought you liked them young. Like to Pete, and I'm like, that's sickening actually.
Ew.
Yeah, because Pete's like, can I have your attention please? And you hear people in the crowd, and someone goes like, oh, go on Pete, and he says thank you very much, and then someone shouts, it's about time you did some work, and someone else shouts, I thought you liked them young.
What the
Which feels like, because it just glosses right over that.
Then wait, isn't this where we also see Dog Rose and the doctor like out loud
Just
laughs. And Rose is like she's really bugged by this. And he's like,
Yeah, and he's like, sorry.
But he does say it's funny. He's like, it's funny. Innit?
There's a line as well before this that Rose has. That's another one that I'm like, oh, in my brain when they talk, because they're in as kitchen staff, and the doctor's like, this is good because now we can like ear to the ground and all that, learn the goss, and like the doctor's like, for instance, like Lucy, another one of the serving people, is like, says like that guy's the president of Great Britain, and Rose is like, oh, president, not a prime minister, and the doctor's like, yep, and she goes, oh, maybe Lucy's just a bit thick. Like it just gives her a little like little shitty comment.
Like that's just Rose all over in it. That's a bit of Jackie coming out though, right?
In it,
I mean, that's got to be like a little bit of Jackie coming out there.
in it.
There's a little bit. It's so it cuts from the party back to the Cybermen thing at one point, right? The loading bay.
Yeah,
This is the first time I think we hear the steps properly.
yeah, it is.
How do you feel about those steps? Those are iconic steps. I've never been like, oh yeah, that's a nostalgic sound, but I'm like, they're just walking, but I'm like, no, that's
It is, isn't
such
it?
good sound design. I hope there is something about that on the Confidential. I really do.
It's a very I think the thing about it that makes it so good is that clearly it is the sound of like unison. Like that's not just one of them making that
Yes.
noise. They are all moving at the same time, which I feel like is why it sounds like, I don't know, if I say layered, I hope you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And also it's just all of the metal shunking. So
Shunk,
so you
shunk,
know
shunk.
it's not the sound of one step. It's like a whole, like knee raise and like slam
Stomp
back, like a
down.
march. It's not the sound of a walk. It's the sound of a march.
It's like it's very motorized. It's got like hinges to it that you can't hear them, but your brain fills in those gaps.
yeah.
Your brain goes like, oh,
'Cause,
it's
like,
such a heavy step.
That's
that
the
there
thing
must
in
be
it, that they
motors going
don't
on.
walk, they march.
Well, yeah, there's no leg in
Yeah,
there.
like
the,
it's just
the
it's
only
always
thing is
like,
brain, right?
yeah.
Which is why I get confused, because I'm like, you only need the brain, you don't need the skin and the bones. But then we've seen Cybermen with skulls pop out, and like when James Corden goes in that one time for a quick little
Listen,
ride.
we'll get into it next week, but I have so many questions about
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
that's
we'll
fine.
get into it.
We'll do just a big old Cyberman thing next week, I guess.
So, well, that's it. They send the Cybermen out to the party.
They kill
but
the
then
president.
at the same time, sorry, not the same time, but like after this, they cut to Mickey and Ricky, and that's when it's like, oh, my dad was this guy. He did this thing, and then Ricky's like, no, that was my dad.
Yes.
There's a point where Jake, who is the Geordie lad, says,
Jake. Sorry. It's not even far off how I would say it, because I don't know if you've had this experience where you go somewhere that is not our town. I'm not going to say where.
yeah,
And people assume immediately that you are from Newcastle because that is the only thing they associate with the north is Newcastle and
Yep.
Yorkshire.
yep.
And so if you don't talk like this,
I've had years of telling people, like, when they ask where I'm from, and I tell them, and then they have no idea, and I go, right, you know Newcastle? And they go, yeah. And I'm like,
Go down.
right, yeah.
see, I had some dude on the bus. I told you about this. Some Scottish guy was like, "Where are you from?" And I was like, "Here," and he was like, "No, you don't sound like you're from here." And I was like, "I don't what." I was like, "Neither do you." And he was like, "Yeah, well, I'm Scottish." And I was like, "Touche, old man.
Got me there.
You got me."
But yeah, they do this, like, you know, like we say, Jake says, you know,
Jake.
like, oh, they've got to be brothers. And he's like, you know, what could it be? And
and he's like, "No, we're exactly the
what's
same."
her name? Mrs. Moore says, she says, like,
the cloning
it
thing.
could be that Cybus Industries have perfected the science of human cloning. Or your father had a bike.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah.
And
Whoa,
I'm like,
go on,
whoa, okay, Mrs. Moore.
go on, sweetheart.
That was another line, like when Jackie says, "Oh, trust you to cock it up," where I was like, "Oh my god!" Like, you know, like, ooh, okay, scripted.
I'm glad we're
'Cause-
not on camera because one, we both look terrible, but imagine people just being like, "What is this? What is
Yeah.
this thing they're doing? What is
Yeah,
this?
don't worry
What is
about
this little gesture?" And
Don't
we're
worry
like,
about
"It's
it.
a thing, don't worry."
Yeah, so because this is when we find out that they have been getting uploads from Gemini, mystery Gemini. You don't get to find out who it is.
Yeah.
Mrs. Moore is like, it's an upload from Gemini. And Mickey goes, who's Gemini? And then it's like, we gotta go. Don't ask any more questions.
We have no time. Step on it.
So that's when Pete and Rose have their little convo.
Yeah, it's just after that where he's like, "How long have you guys been?" Or she's like, "How long have you guys been together?" And then he just confides in her the divorce. But because I don't know about you, I love this thing of like.
Well, he says he says that he's moved out, but it's bad for business.
Yeah, so they've not told anyone. I don't know how you feel about this. I as like a convention thing, it's in like a lot of movies and stuff. That people are intrinsically connected regardless. So even though she is nothing to him in a parallel universe, she is his daughter, and so he is more comfortable.
Yeah,
because
he says like, "Why am I telling you this?"
I love this.
I like it.
I'm always like, yeah, a little warm for me. Thank you very much.
I mean, yeah, I like the idea of it
Yeah,
because I think even if there is no like universal reason, it's like Rose knows that this is her dad, and also at this point she's already met her dad.
yes,
So it's kind of like maybe she is just in some way putting off, you know, some like subconsciously putting off some kind of vibe of like, oh, you're my dad, I already know, like that familiarity.
yeah.
But no, I like that too.
I'm a big fan of it. And she also has a conversation with Jackie. Here's the thing, because I don't think you could have these guys. So we have a little three-way conversation with Rose, Jackie, and Pete in a Father's Day.
Yeah.
I don't think it would work here.
I don't think it would work here at all. And there is such a good piece of acting from Camille Kajuri here. Oh my god. Because Rose is being all chill about it. Like they're just having a fine, regular conversation. And then Rose is talking about Pete. Bit of a Jack the Lad, I suppose, even if he has got money, but he's a good bloke, better than most. And then she sort of stops and then she says he's worth a second chance. And then Jackie just turns
on her, yeah.
Just turns on it and just says, "Are you commenting on my marriage?" And it's just like, oh my god, like she just turns on her so hard. She's so fucking cold with it.
But
like,
I mean, for a stranger, that is a big overstep.
oh, it's a huge overstep for a
Right.
stranger. But just like, you know, every time, because Jackie in Father's Day, yeah, because the thing about Jackie in Father's Day, like the version of her that we see then, that's just Jackie from the past.
Yeah, right. That's still it's our Jax.
Yeah, that's our Jackie.
Our Jax.
And even though she's still played as being kind of like, you know, sort of gossipy mum, you know,
Yeah,
very, very like chewy but not mean.
Yeah, which is a super relatable thing.
Yeah, like, you know, everyone knows a Jackie Tyler, right? She is kind of played differently here in that I think she's got like much
Corporate
more
jacks.
bitterness.
Corporate jacks.
Yeah, and like, so when she turns on Rose here, like, this is a side of Jackie that like hasn't been seen.
Yeah.
Like, we know she's kind of like a bit, you know, she's a bit of a gobshite. But like, she actually pure around here. And the thing is, I'm like, if I was Rose, I would be killing myself immediately.
Mom, just showing at me in a
But
parallel
Mum,
universe.
Mum, no.
You can't make
Are
me.
you commenting on my marriage? You're grounded.
I'm not your real dog. Goes away.
You're not my real dad. I'm just fucking.
And Pete Tyler's like, what? What? Is it what?
She
What?
walks up to her. She goes, "Hey, Dad, it's me,
Your daughter." And he's like, hey, daughter, it's me.
Your
Your
dad.
dad. Do you know what's really fun for me?
What?
That like last night and today that joke has come back almost in full swing, and I'm like, yeah, I've missed it actually. Beyond our like messenger nicknames, that joke has not been a thing.
Oh, you know what?
Do you know how weird it is when my phone lights up with a message, and they're like, who's that?
I'm like, it's just
I'm
Katie.
like, it's Katie. It sounds like, why is she down on your phone? In all caps says daughter, and it's spelled DAWTH.
Like, the thing is, at this point, I'm like, I know that is an outdated joke, but I'm like, what do we change them to?
The nicknames, right?
Yeah, right.
I've thought this. I've seen them and gone like, it feels old. It feels like they need.
Because I always think that. I always like to have a like relevant nickname, because I know that in the group chat they've stopped changing, because there was a while where they were changing
I need
a
mine
lot.
changing because yours is CEO
Yeah.
still, because you're the CEO of Doctor Who Rewind,
Yeah.
and I'm just DJ Superstar.
Superstar DJ, yeah.
I don't get it. Yeah, all right. It doesn't matter though. Doctor Who.
Okay, so this is where, like, while this is going on, the Doctor's been snooping in
He
Pete's
finds a little-
office,
a
and
little
he
PC.
finds the same presentation video that Lumic showed. He finds that.
Do you know what I love about one of those presentation things? It might not be this one, but one of them. There's one. There's a part earlier where they're on the phones and they're looking and they're like, "Oh, Lumic, there's rumors about your bad health and you know about what's going on." And,
Yeah.
And he is like, "Fear not, I am completely healthy." That's how he talks. He's like, "Fear not, I am completely healthy. Move on, evolution." And I'm looking and I'm like, in frame, you have a respirator.
Is it?
What do you mean
Is
you're
it-
completely healthy? To your left is a breathing tube.
I think it. I know. How hard would it be to work for him when he's fucking vaping all the time?
Oh, I've got experience with working with someone who vapes all the time. Do I not, Katie? I thought you were gonna like vape into the mic. You could have done like and got the crack.
I wasn't gonna do that because I'm not the worst. I think it's this line where he's like, "Mr. President," and he's like, "I suppose a remark about crashing the party or whatever."
That's when I
And
was
then
like,
he
"Oh,
just
he's funny."
Doesn't he do the laugh with the laugh where he goes like as well? Like, it's not even a laugh; it's just like a like sort of like wheeze that comes out of him.
Yeah, because I have a point earlier about him because it's when he's like, "Oh, I'm testing out the people and I'm making them go left and right," and I'm like, "Oh, Lumic is not a mad scientist; he's just a normal scientist because he's not doing the funny insanes," and like. I got to this bit and I'm like, oh no, he does have a humour sense.
Well, this feels very much like an eye of one.
yes,
This is like a
yeah.
gloat. This is, you know.
Well, I mean, he's just sent about 50 metal men into the party, Katie. Of course it's a win. I didn't mean to say that exactly like your mother.
We also get a bit with the Doctor and Rose when they see the Cybermen like marching sort of to the house. And it's a part that the Doctor does sometimes, and I always like it, where he goes like, "It's happening again."
Yeah.
His recognition of something.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I just end up going like, oh, you know that there are certain things that will always come back to bite you. The Cybermen is one of them, the Daleks is one of them, like, you know. So this is excellent. And the way he's like, Cybermen, I mean, that wasn't in the Next Time trailer. They made it Cybus, right? Or Cybers or
He
something.
still says Cybus. It's that voice clip when he
does
watches
say Cybermen at one point.
He does. It's when he's like
He's at the
Cybermen
window.
at the window, yeah. But that part is when he's in Pete's office and he finds the video and it's like he puts it together when he's like Cybus,
Yeah.
Cybus. You know, that's the part that they use. So this is the Cybermen crash the party
Yeah, man.
and they're like, "Hey, you will become like us." And then the president's like, "And if I refuse?"
The doctor's like,
what
mate,
if I
don't.
refuse?
The doctor's just like, mate, you don't want
What
to
happens if I refuse?
You love this, don't you?
Yeah, funny.
The doctor, don't. What if I refuse? I'm telling you, don't. What happens if I refuse? Then you are not compatible. What happens then? You will be deleted. And the doctor's like, mate, I warned you like twice.
Like, I said don't, man.
I love, there's a bit, I did see this in a confidential where, did you hear the squeak?
The fucking wheeze, yeah, man.
Yeah, it's the asthma. Whoa. I'm just going to leave the asthma in for this, actually. It's going to be quirky as hell. No, there's a bit in one of the confidentials where they're showing them shooting the president. No, hang on a minute. They're filming they're filming the president with a Cyberman. But because they're only shooting the president's shot, like, the mid shot of his head,
Yeah.
David Tennant is not on camera, but he is delivering his line from the side.
Yes.
And the Cyberman is there, but to get the voice, I'm pretty sure they've got the helmet on and like some of the shouldery bits, but then the rest is like
just a guy.
Yeah. And when the doctor delivers his lines like as he does in the show, so it's like really dramatic delivery. He's wearing a puffer coat in the house. Like everyone else is dressed in like evening wear. Then Billy Piper and David Tennant stood next to each other, both in puffer coats, and the doctor every now and then just leans in. He's like flat face, and then he just goes,
"Don't."
And then he's just like, "I'm telling you, don't." And then he gets back, and he's just like flat faced again. And I'm like, pre-17 over there. Sorry. Anyway.
This goes away as well. I really like it. The like hand on the shoulder, electrocute, delete.
Because then the Cyberman had that thing where on every magazine cover they were reaching out, and you were like,
yeah,
oh,
and then
God,
they kind of replace it with the wrist mounted. Like little gun things. There is a good part of this as well because they just Cybermen just go off it at the party and just start killing.
Yeah. Here I go killing again.
So anyway, I started blasting. But like there is one point where there is a couple who are stood, and one of the Cybermen goes up and he electrocutes the guy, and because him and the woman are touching, the woman gets electrocuted too.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
so cool.
That's a cool little detail. That's like a fun thing because I'm like, yeah, that's how electricity works.
Because I checked, I was like, oh, does he use both?
Yeah,
no. They were touching. I'm like, that's so cool.
So everyone runs away. They leave. Rosa's all like, my mum's in there, and then the doctor's like, she's not your mother.
Yeah. Is this us doing that thing where we just sort of get to the end and we're like, I'm in there, and then in there, and then in there?
Well, because Rose and the doctor jump out a window.
Yes, of course.
And then a little bit later, Pete also jumps out a window. Jackie is still in the house. She goes like down to a basement. Yeah. Jackie's like, there's a strange man in my basement. He's made of metal.
Anything could happen.
Anything could happen.
Delete! And then she does this lean scream that she does. She just cowers.
She does get a little scream moment though. It's just a short one.
She does a little screamy muffler.
She does it. Yeah, there's a part where I think like one of the Cybermen turns to face her and she does like God, and then like turns and runs out the door, like classic horror movie stand in place scream.
Jackie Tyler is the final girl. Telling you now.
So yeah, they get outside. They meet up with Ricky and Mickey and Jake, who are also there.
Yes, yeah.
And then they're surrounded on all sides. This is another bullets won't stop them line too. This is like another part where the doctor says it again.
Yeah, and then they do a surrender. But this is a surrender. We're surrendering. We surrender.
This is another part that I really remember as well.
Yeah, the last 10 minutes of this episode, excellent. I think the reason that I don't look fondly on this episode as much is because these last 10 minutes are absolutely show stealing.
I think
it's also longer than a normal episode. This was 48 minutes, not 42. Yeah.
I think something as well with this being a two-parter is a lot of the work. Because if you think about where we are at the end of other two-parters, a lot of the work done in the beginning is establish the parallel world, which obviously the parallel world is a greater plot point in the series as a whole. So you do kind of need to give it time. But I think, the Cybermen stuff suffers a little bit because of that.
Because we have to establish
the parallel world.
We also have to give... You've got to give Mickey more than one reason to stay.
Yeah, Mickey needs a reason to stay, and also just on account of, again, setup, we kind of need to care about the preachers a bit.
Yes, yeah.
Like, because I'm not going to come out here and say that I love them, but
No.
I kind of like them, and I think that especially for the second episode, you need at least some kind of sentimental feeling. Yeah. So this is the end. This feels like the most mortal peril cliffhanger yet.
Where they could actually...
because of all of the cliffhangers, this feels like the shittest scenario for them to be in.
And do you know what? Do you know why I think it is? Is because in this parallel universe, and with this human who has come up with the Cybermen, no one knows who the Doctor... There is normally, if someone knows who the Doctor is, they're like, I want to speak to him first. Bring me him alive. There is none of that here. The Doctor... one of the Cybermen could just be like, delete, kill him. And it would not matter to everyone else. He is simply just another guy here.
When you think about it, like, I can't remember exactly the Aliens of London cliffhanger, but it's, it's the electrocution thing.
Yeah. Which he survives because he's alien.
Yeah, which I'm like, I don't ever think that would have taken him out.
No.
You get the go to your room cliffhanger.
That was so good.
Which is a good one, but I don't ever feel like it's that dangerous. And I think the part of it is because it's these like gas mask zombies, whereas the Cybermen are more established. The finale as well is the Doctor being like, Rose, I'm coming to get you, which is like an incredibly hopeful note to leave it on. But this one, I'm like, you are armed, you are surrounded on all sides. There is a large group of you, and you are literally the Doctor saying the words, "We surrender,"
which we don't hear often from him.
No, and that's why it feels.
We do see him do it mainly for like peaceful reasons. He's not like I want to kill everything. So I'm like
I think the part that does it for me is when the Cybermen say you are incompatible, and he says, "But this is a surrender."
Yeah,
and it's like he's like, yeah, but like I'm doing what you want. Why is this not?
Because now it's a cold blood thing.
Yeah.
It's not like I want to there's two things that I enjoy, and that is the phrase maximum deletion.
Man will be reborn as Cybermen, but you will perish under maximum deletion.
Human 2.0. Oh, Human Point 2.
Human Point 2, yeah.
I'm like, that's so good. Human Point 2.
It was stylized in the BBC iPlayer subtitles as Human 0.2. Like, it was written down as like 0.2.
That's so good.
And obviously they just say Human Point 2, but I'm like, technically that is correct. Yeah, like that's.
If we are Humans 1, Human 0.2 is, I don't know, amoeba.
Yeah, right. Like
tadpole. Yeah. What would you rate this episode?
I am gonna give this a 3.
Because I was gonna go 3, but I feel like that's kind of high now. Because I don't feel the same way as you about this. Because you do enjoy this.
Yeah, I feel like it's
I might give it
a
middle of the road 2.5 then.
Yeah,
which isn't. I always feel like because it's an out of 10, 2.5 seems really low. But I'm like, out of 5, that's halfway. That's a halfway episode.
Yeah,
I'm not complaining that this is on. It's never. Even if you limit me to season 2, this is never going to be my first choice. This
has stopped now, actually.
If you limit me to the first half of season 2. It's definitely not going to be my first choice. I'm just going to trust it. We've no trivia this week. Now that the crisis is over. Now that we have not lost an entire episode of Rewind. Adobe.
Yeah.
First time we use you and you give us a problem.
We've got trivia. Ooh, it's time to be real.
Oh, fuck off, Katie. I don't... Can I not be...
No, it's not very... If you change it, it's not very real, is it? Yeah, okay, so trivia.
That's me.
It being Jackie's 40th birthday.
Trivia, I hardly know her.
Fuck off. It's a reference to this, I don't think it's exactly to the day, but this airing like 40 years after 10th Planet, like Rise of the Cybermen.
Okay, that's cute.
Yeah, that's like cute. A little one. Just like a if you know, sort of deal.
Mm-hmm.
Also, this brings back the Cyberman teardrop. Like around the eye, the little like teardrop thing.
I love those.
From Revenge of the Cybermen in like 1975.
Ooh.
Brings it back from then. And also apparently in the original script there was more Preacher stuff.
Oh, I imagine there would have been.
There was going to be another woman in there called Esme, and apparently Freema Egerman read for the role.
Oh.
And I'm like,
she really was getting her foot in the door of this show, right?
In retrospect, very glad she didn't get it, and I got to see her as Martha, but to be fair,
she was still in it.
Yeah.
Before pre-Martha. Which is, I'm like, yeah,
she
cool.
was?
Yes.
When's she in it? Oh, yeah, obviously.
I mean.
I was thinking, I was trying to think there, because I'm like, I know Karen Gillan did the same thing.
Yeah.
So,
and Peter Capaldi.
Same ep.
Yep.
So that's that.
That's all the trivia.
That's all of the trivia that we have for Rise of the Cybermen.
Does that mean I can go and finish Oathbringer?
Yes, that means you can go and finish Oathbreaker. Does that mean I can go home, play Stardew Valley?
Oathbringer.
I said that.
You said Breaker.
I said Bringer.
You said Oathbreaker.
I said Bringer.
Do you want to go back and listen
Yeah,
to
I
it?
do, because I swear I said Bringer.
Right, well, yeah, we do Rewind everywhere, and next week we'll do the rest, and I'm going to go listen to this. Bye.
Bye.